大家好，欢迎收看今天的节目。在上几期节目当中呢，我们主要是就着肖恩·奥凯西的《朱诺与孔雀》切入到爱尔兰的历史里面，对爱尔兰的历史有了一个很粗略的了解。那么今天呢，我们将主要的来谈一谈爱尔兰的宗教。让我们一起进入今天的对话。
And that was so various points during history. There were various revolutions, various figures tried to take Ireland out of that relationship with Britain, either through alliances with France, especially, or Spain, or through sort of revolution within the country, or through a more sort of political, democratic process, usually seeking something called home rule.
Home rule.
Home rule, which would be a high degree of independence, but not the same as revolution. So you achieve home rule through democracy, through political argument, and through what's called Catholic emancipation.
What?
Catholic emancipation.
Catholic emancipation.
Emancipation means freedom, and Catholic means Roman Catholics. So you have to remember, most of Ireland was Roman Catholic. Most of Britain is Anglican. So two different aspects of Christianity. So Roman Catholics are loyal to the Pope. And Ireland, despite lots of attempts to change it, had its own language and was Roman Catholic. So although it was part of, or various times part of Britain, it was a very different place culturally.
Okay. But they would like to kind of. I have a question about those kind of religious kind of thing. So if they would like to, exit from the Great Britain, will they kind of like exit in a way of Anglican Church or?
Well, they weren't in the Anglican Church. They were Roman Catholics.
They're Roman Catholic. So it's like two religions appear in at the same time. Okay.
Well, the Roman Catholicism is the older religion. And Roman Catholicism was brought to Ireland by St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. And he converted the Irish to Roman Catholicism.
Celtic religion.
What? From a Celtic religion? Yeah, from a pagan Celtic religion. Yeah. So Ireland had been Catholic for a long time, and I don't quite know why. I mean, the whole of Britain was Catholic, but then in the rest of Britain, there was, in general, a movement towards the Protestant religion. There was a Reformation.
Is it related to Henry VIII?
Yeah, Henry VIII. Well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
in order to get some wife.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why the state became Protestant. But Protestantism as a kind of very powerful theological movement predates Henry VIII. So Henry VIII sort of took a ride on the wave of Protestantism probably for his own political purposes. Yeah, but in Scotland, Scotland was very Protestant, and there had been a kind of a building Protestantism. That's just part of the kind of movement of history, really. It's quite a Northern European thing. But, so, Ireland was Roman Catholic. The people spoke Irish, which is a different language, and they had never been very entirely happy under British rule. And the famine certainly sort of deepened hatred, because the history is quite complicated. But on one level, maybe a simple version is that the British didn't respond well to the famine. And most of Ireland, most of the Irish countryside, was farmed by peasants who didn't own their land. Peasantry is a state of being a tenant. You rent your land and you farm on it. And the people who owned the land, the landowners, who were largely British and English and absent, treated their tenants very badly, and when they couldn't pay their rent, they evicted them. So people were driven out of their homes, they were starving, they were eating grass. There were sort of famous terrible images at the time of people dying stained green from trying to survive by eating grass. They fled to Liverpool in America. So understandably, after the famine, there was perhaps an increase in hatred for the British. say that sort of led to a movement towards home rule, really, a largely peaceful movement. And we've already met one of the great figures of that movement, who was Parnell, who's mentioned a lot by Joyce.
Oh, Parnell.
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 Yeah. So it looked like Ireland would, this has been at the end of the 19th century, moving to the time of the play, it sort of looked like Ireland would become fairly independent. Catholic emancipation had largely taken place. I was explaining what that was. So before the 20th century, Catholics in Ireland were not allowed to vote, they weren't allowed to occupy certain jobs, they weren't allowed to become members of parliament. So they were like a sort of repressed majority in their own country, which is very colonial, very empire-like. Emancipation means freeing people.
Freeing Catholics.
Yeah, so laws had been passed so Catholics could become members of parliament, Catholics could become judges, Catholics could become school teachers. There had been sort of a more progressive movement. So things had got better. And by the time we get to Ulysses, there's a sort of a Catholic aristocracy. There are wealthy Catholics. So things had changed a lot.
The life improved a lot.
Life had improved a lot. Yeah, maybe not so much for the poor people or the working people, but things had changed politically.